your ability to be eternally optimistic, irrespective
crazy,
of
man.
what's in front of you, is nuts. It's nuts. Like, in 15 years or so that I've known you, you've never once, wavered in that regard. You never went even doubted yourself. It's crazy. I know
Why
you
though?
do.
Why?
I believe in destiny, and in destiny, I believe whatever Allah's written for us is going to happen. And we're on a ride that Allah's one has written, regardless. We just got to work our off, essentially, and wherever Allah takes us, He's going to take us. And I believe that if He's going to use me to do something great for the Ummah, it's going to happen. And I need to just work hard.
So wait, this is take 2.
But see, it's not going to be natural anymore.
No, it is. Ask the question and we'll start.
How did you trust this guy?
Great.
Realistically, bro, you're a young
How
buck.
did you trust him in what?
He gave his whole life saving to you. And mind you,
I need every sense
you
because
weren't
I
a
was
very
poor.
flamboyant person back then.
Now look, so there was a few things that ran through my head. Number one was our understanding from the start was that we'd both put in the same amount. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not going out on a limb where he's not. So I'm like, okay, that gave me some degree of trust to be like, you know what, we're both equally nuts on the line. So okay, that's fair. Second thing, I'm like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? I'm young enough to recover. I was 23 years old. I was like, you know what? Okay, I've made okay money in my short lifespan until that point. If I gave it all and I lost it all, I'm young enough to recover from it. And another thing I thought about, I'm like, the bloke that I'm working with has more to lose because he's 20 years older than me. He's got mouths to feed. He's got bills to pay. He's got real life. I was living with my parents. What's the worst? I wouldn't end up...
You sold your truck for it, didn't you?
Yeah, I sold my truck for it.
Like, that's...
Because I had no money.
Yeah, that's serious sacrifices.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, you know what? Okay. So when I looked at it from that perspective, it wasn't that big a risk. I could recover from it. I wasn't going all in on somebody say so when he wasn't doing the same as I was. And from what I understood at that point in time, all I had to do was bust my chops. So I was like, you know what? How bad can it be? And I took it from there. Seriously.
But when you look at the guy, you're just like, come on, man.
Look, back he wasn't the refined man that he is today. He was an oddball. But look, one thing that, again...
Refined?
One...
That I'm finding refined.
It's a big leap from where you were before. Another thing, and I feel that I was probably more of a religious person back in those days. And if you look at it from a religious context, I was like, you know what? He's an, as we say in Urdu, Allah wala. It's like he's a godly man. You know, he was practicing Muslim bloke. I was like, you know what? Okay, he wouldn't stitch me up for that reason as well. He seemed trustworthy from that perspective. If it was too prim and proper, if it was too polished, I'd be like, oh, he's a bit of a con artist maybe. Maybe he's got ulterior motives or whatever. I'm like, he's too simple to have that. Lives in Camberfield, drives a rust bucket as you call it, or whatever you call your cars. I'm like, what's he gonna take from you, man? So yeah.
Do you see that as a compliment, boss man?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's the greatest decision Muzza's done in his life. Right, it's made him who he is right now, and there's no doubt he's made the right call. But yeah, I agree with what he's saying. One thing that I pride myself is integrity, and you know that. If I say something, I'm going to do it. And we always knew that what we were going to do. It was clear as day. Our vision was clear, our goal was clear, our mission was clear, and we were relentless, and we knew it, and Muzza knew it. We weren't going to stop at all costs, no matter what. Yes, we have a shoestring budget, and yes, we had a crappy little office, very, broken down office in Heidelberg, but we knew our goal.
The funny thing is, was I remember before he approached you, how many friends did you approach? I know one. Was there?
There was two or three.
Two.
At least two, maybe three.
Yeah, he approached them, and then he's like, "Guys, want to be my partner? Look, you got to sell a land, or you got to sell this, you got to sell that." And then I think they went back, thought about it, got bashed by the wife, and the wife probably said no. And then he's like, "Oh shit, I lost my investors."
Yeah. No, but the thing is, like, for most people, it's too big a risk to take.
Yeah.
It's something that what was being planned was something that's unprecedented, man. It's not as if like, okay, well, everyone's. It's not like you're opening up a petrol station or a kebab shop, man. Like you can see people have done that before, step by step, how to do it. This is first of its kind, one of its kind. So you got to have cojones to do this. It's not easy. But as I said, like for me, it's a calculated risk. For a lot of other people, I understand why they wouldn't do it. Like it's hard. It's hard, especially if like another thing that sort of helped me as well was I had education in this area. So I was like, I sort of got where we were going. When you talked about super investments, financial advice, I was like, okay, yeah, it's stuff that I've studied. I sort of understand it. Some of his friends who I know we're referring to, this is completely out of the wheelhouse. This would be like learning a new language.
They were going to be like silent partners anyway.
Yeah.
I just need the money.
You just needed the
I
money.
just need the money to get this thing going.
But sometimes I feel that silent partnership is probably more scary than being an active partner because you're literally going all in and then just trusting the next person. For me, I'm like, I'm going all in, but I'll be by your side every single day. I'll see what's going on. I'll know what's going on.
You're, in real life, you're a bit of a Karen, I'm not gonna lie.
I am who I am, man. It's just, but again, like I had to control that Karen controlling attitude at the start because I was like, you know what, I have to. As I said, I'm 20 years younger than the bloke. Like he's got a lot of years in business and life in front of me, and I can't exactly. Why are you doing this? What's this? Why not this? Why not that? You got to be like, okay, I've got to trust him in some things at least.
And why'd you pick Muzza though?
Because I need the money. no one else had the money. Everyone I'm with that had a bit of money didn't come on board. I had no choice. So Muzza was a little kid. I said, you know what? Well, he's got money.
You're
Muzza, you want to come?
a kid, man.
I was 23.
Newly married, was it?
No,
he wasn't married
just
yet.
before I got married.
Just before you got married.
So I got married about 2 months or 3 months after the business started.
Who supported you along the way?
Supported me?
Yeah.
It depends.
Because obviously you had a dream, right? And everyone says, you have a dream, and then most people laugh at you, and then when you achieve it, then they all come back.
Well, not all of them come back. So there are still some people that still say that's pie in the sky. But anyway, not the people that previously I knew, but new people. But anyway, support on the way. As far as
Apart from me.
like even you were there for a free ride, but that's a different story.
What do you mean?
You weren't like a really advocate supporter.
I was a kid.
You were more of a free rider.
I was a kid.
How old were you then?
How old was I? Like 15?
When I started this journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
14?
11 or 12.
Yeah.
What are you? My brain can't comprehend what's going on. And he's like, obviously, what you say, by the time you're 18, I'm going to buy you your Lamborghini.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
I'm 12, you're a kid.
That's what entrepreneurship
Hell yeah,
is all
man.
about, conning people on the journey, all right?
I'm in. I'm still waiting for my Lamborghini.
That was just him testing his sales pitch on somebody. He's like, you know what, I got to talk this out.
But if you're talking about who believed in me and supported me, no one. Zero.
Did your own wife?
No,
support you?
she didn't believe in it.
But you did take a big risk though. Like it's
No one believed it.
no one's gonna.
Like I could genuinely say, no one believed in the journey.
That's
Like,
true.
genuinely,
It's true.
No one.
I remember when I told my mum, I was like, you know what, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to
And you had
business.
a comfortable job too,
I
man.
was laughing. I quit that, and she was like, "What? Oh, where are you gonna go? What's you gonna do? Who are you gonna do it with?" I'm like, "Hakan Ozyon." She's like, "Who the hell is that?"
Ex-truck driver, man.
But the thing was, she was like, "You know what?" She's like, "If that's what you want to do, give it a crack."
Well, that easy.
Yeah.
Nah, man.
No, seriously.
Really? She didn't contest it at all?
Not really. Not really. I think it came as a bigger shock to my in-laws because I was engaged, and when I was engaged, I was like, oh, you know, this guy's got a job, he does this, does that, blah, blah, and they were very comfortable with all that. And all of a sudden, just before I got married, I'm like, you know what, hey, no job.
And no pay.
No pay.
No pay. We didn't get any wages for
We
the
didn't
first
get a
2 years.
salary for what, 2
years?
2 years.
2.5, yeah.
No
We
salary.
didn't get any wages.
In that time, I got married, had a kid, had to live at home with my mom because I had no money. 2.5 years. And that's what I mean, like the risk is real. For most people, it's too big a sacrifice to make.
Where was the income coming from?
Nothing. Chewing up savings.
Yeah.
Were you chewing up savings?
Yeah, I was chewing up savings as well.
And
I didn't have much, but like a shoestring, but I was eating like grass literally every day.
yeah. No, but you could sense it. Like we were towards the end of that 2-year period. We could sense that we're running on fumes.
Yeah,
Like personally running on
literally.
fumes. You had
Literally,
nothing.
we're breathing air, all right, for food.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like today, people like overly sort of they overly glamorize business and entrepreneurship. They don't realize it, man. This is
The hardship.
you put everything on the line, man.
Do you think a lot of people will do what you guys did?
I don't think so.
I mean, you look at it now, right? Muzzy, you'd know. We spoke about this a few times where, you go to like a friend of yours and you see potential in them and you're like, hey man, just leave your job and just come to us. They can't even take that risk.
Nah.
A simple job swap. They can't even take that risk.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to say about that is if everyone could do that, then everyone would be an entrepreneur.
Everyone will be rich.
It's not for everyone. And secondly, look, not everyone's destined for that. Okay? Most people are not going to jump off a cliff. Because typically that's like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
It's like, jumping into the abyss and hoping that, you come out of that unscathed.
Yeah.
Right? And the vast majority of businesses actually fail. So the possibility of actually not succeeding is quite high. Although every businessman goes into a venture believing it's going to work. No one goes in there saying, you know what, this is not going to work. So, you know what, I'm going to do it, but I know it's not going to work. Everyone thinks they've got a great idea and it's going to work. Okay? Be it a caravan, like a kebab caravan, be it like a souvlaki shop, whatever the case is. It could be a barber, whatever it is. Everyone thinks they're going to succeed. But the vast majority of businesses fail. Now, if you're talking about entrepreneurship, something that's unique and innovative, okay, that's even a high degree of failure rates. It's very hard.
Well, was there a point where, question to both of you, was there a point where you guys thought, okay, yeah, nothing's gonna come out of this?
Well, let's see.
There has to be.
Because
man.
I'm the eternal optimist. Me, I'm always positive, and I believe in what I'm doing. But Muzza probably had that, all right?
Look, I don't know. Sometimes I think back to those times and you reflect on your emotions during that time. And what used to always occur to me was the one thing that he told me when we started this was you're going to have to work really hard. And that part I understood. I'm like, okay, I'll work hard. The one thing that I didn't know, and maybe it was youth or whatever it was the amount of mental drain that's done on you. Like you're emotionally wrecked because every single day is a new challenge. Every single day is a new problem. And your mind and your body can only take so much of a barrage. After a while, you feel really tired. You feel emotionally wrecked. Like the physical wreckage you can probably take. You can work the 15 hours, you can work the weekends, you can do all that type of stuff. But the mental and emotional side, for me, was hard because nothing prepares you for that. Now, he was older. He had been through more in life. He had seen marriage, kids, other business ventures, all that type of stuff. So I'm not saying it's any easier. I'm just saying that you're more fortified. I think when you're younger, you're just vulnerable. You just don't know how to take a belting mentally. And that's what used to run through my head. I was like, you know what, man? I need to be able to weather the mental storm in all this. If I can come through this mentally still okay, I should be okay.
Was there any stage where you regretted?
Nah. I don't think I've ever regretted it. Because for me, until today, I still enjoy the journey. Like, despite the headaches, all that type of stuff, it's actually fun. Like, you make some great friendships. You go on this amazing journey that literally nobody else gets. And there's no reason why we in particular should be doing this. Like, there are people out there who have more capital and who are willing to put more hours in or whatever. But we're just really fortunate that we have this opportunity. And you reflect on that and you're like, you know what? It's a cool thing. And at least, at the very, very least, if everything else turns to shit, I can look back on my life and be like, you know what? I got given an opportunity. I grabbed it with two hands. I gave it everything I had. And if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. But that's always been my approach to it. Never regretted it.
You don't want to fail because of your laziness.
Yeah, that you didn't give it a crack.
Yeah, you didn't have a proper crack at it. And when you say proper crack, you got to give everything.
Yeah. That's one thing that he made me do. So I remember there was a time, you probably remember this conversation. It was just before I resigned from my job. And he was like, you need to quit. And I asked, I was like, you know what? Can't I transition? How about I go part-time at work?
You said it to everyone.
How about I go part-time at work and I do Hejaz work part-time? And he was like, no. That was probably the first time that he went hard on me and said definitively, no, Muzza, not going to happen. And that was a hit. I was like, oh shit, how do I do this? And either I piss him off and he'll probably pull the deal. I didn't know that he had no other backups.
I still would have pulled the deal, though.
Probably pull the deal.
No, because you got to be fully committed.
But that, and I think it works both ways. That showed me how determined he was, but also I think I'd probably earn his respect as well. To be like, okay, well, you know what? The kid's willing to go all in. He's willing to cut his lifeblood and be like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to give this everything I have. And from there, yeah, it was rest is history.
Well, I got to admit, I was surprised that you had the will to do it.
Yeah.
And I said, once you've done it, I said, all right, this guy's all
If
in.
Muzzy didn't jump in, what was plan like D at that time?
Well, I got to keep looking around. I simply didn't have enough money to open up a business. Look, mind you, it's not like Muds. I put like a lot of money into this thing. Okay, we're talking about peanuts here.
Yeah.
But I didn't even have the peanuts. Okay, we're in Broadmeadows or Campfield, call it what you will. We're in Broady, man. All right, it's not like we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Like you look at entrepreneurs today, some of these fintech guys and whatnot, they can only go into business when they've got a war chest of millions.
Yeah.
They've got, angel investors, seed capital, this Series A, Series B, and they've got a massive war chest and they still fail. It's remarkable. And you look at what we started off with, jack all, literally peanuts.
Now, to put it in perspective, combine the capital that we started with, you can't even buy it like a kebab shop.
Say it. What is it? What is it? People
in total?
know. Yeah. What is it?
In total?
Yeah.
All the capital we actually put in?
What is it?
110K.
That's it.
That's it.
You can't do anything with that money.
I know.
Bro.
$110,000. That's it. That's all we started.
And to put that into perspective, I remember the first time we went around doing office visits, to rent an office. So we looked at a few. There was one, I think, in near Preston High Street, somewhere there. Yeah. A few others.
In Brunswick?
Yes. Yeah, we looked at a few over there. And then we went out to Heidelberg. And we looked at this place. And on the drive back, I remember in your CRV.
Yeah, I still remember it.
We were driving back, and he pulls up to the side, and he's like, you know what? I reckon we're going to get that place. And I hated that place.
It was crap.
It was horrible. It was horrible. But you know what he put it down to? It actually made sense. He's like, Mazza, this place is going to cost us, I think it was like
11,000 a year.
11,000 a year.
What?
Inclusive.
Yep.
All the overheads included.
11,000
Wow.
a year. So when you look at your numbers and you're like, okay, I got 110K and 10% of my money is going into the lease for the whole year. Well, you know what? It's a good deal.
That's not bad.
Biggest can't be choosers, man.
We had no money. What do you want me to do? I've got to get the cheapest place I can find. All right, and that was it. And there was a reason why it was so cheap. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
Can you explain the office?
No, I think Muzza should explain to us.
Oh,
Muzza, explain
horrible.
the office for you.
For the people in Melbourne who probably know this, corner of Bell Street and some random street that was there next to Austin Hospital, a green building, cheesecake shop downstairs. On the side, not on the main street, on the side street, there's an entryway, some wooden creaky door. You open that, you walk in 2 steps, and there are your bins in front of you. The bins for the office.
So as soon as you
park
open the door, you see bins.
That's right. A whole stack, and they smell bad.
There's the garbage bin and the recycling bin.
Yep.
Then you turn right, you go up a further flight of stairs. On our left side was our neighbour, who was a private investigator. It was so sus. Every morning you turn up and they'd have these little cassette tapes delivered to their door.
Yep.
That's recordings from God knows what happened the previous night. On the right hand side was our office. You walked in, you had a little kitchenette there, which led into a shower and a toilet.
Yeah, that's right.
And you guys put the vacuum cleaner in the shower.
the shower?
I don't know what the hell.
right.
Vacuum
We didn't
cleaner
have a
was in the shower.
storage. We didn't
Yeah,
have
there was no storage.
And then you've got 3 rooms. So the first room we used as reception, where Muhammad sat.
Yep.
And the second room was my room, which I eventually ended up sharing with our accountant, where we crammed two
With
desks.
Stephen.
Yep. We crammed 2 desks into there, and you couldn't put 2 straight desks. You had to put it crooked.
Yep.
So if you open the door, it would knock the. And in the corner, you had filing cabinets, and then you had your room, which was the big room. But
It
again,
was a decent room.
It wasn't that
It was
great,
a decent
right?
room, man. It was big, and the window opens up to it's calming room, man.
it was a big room. You had that window, but the dumb thing was, it's not as if the glass was like the soundproof
Yeah,
or
it
whatever.
was heat
So
everywhere.
all
lot
the
of them.
crux of Bell Street, you used to hear all that through the door.
Yeah, it was a lot of
It was
noise.
horrible. The aircon halftime didn't work. We used to have these single, Calvaline, whatever they're called.
Oh,
those
yeah,
little
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Aircons, green. I think what the green,
Green
or
carpets.
green carpets.
Green carpets.
When we first walked in there, the paint was horrible. We didn't have the money to hire a painter.
Yeah.
So
So
we're all
in- It's Ramadan.
in Ramadan, man.
Yeah,
Ramadan,
that's
we,
right.
we sat there and we painted this place.
And that night we Murat helped.
Yes, we ordered
And
pizza that night.
Yeah.
No, kebabs.
Kebab.
Kebabs.
Yeah, yeah,
We
kebabs.
sat on the floor eating kebabs.
Yeah. Oh, it's just good times. Simple times.
And even then, we got cheap paint because we couldn't afford proper paint back then. But anyway,
But you know, for I don't know, for you'd sort of grown up doing things with your hands. For me, this was new to me, man. I'd never done any stuff. So as tiring as it was actually a massive learning curve. Like for example, I'd never hired a truck before. So I didn't know how to go to budget and get like this size of trucks and this wheelbase, and then you used to get that hydro lift thing.
Yeah.
I learned all that of
Tailgate.
this guy. I had no idea. You probably grew up seeing some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And the funny thing was, I learned all that, and then when I had to move houses, I did that all myself. And to my wife, I seemed like a champ. Oh, this bloke knows he's street smart. I'm like, I got no street smarts. I knew then how to go to Bunnings and buy paint, how to mix paint, how to put that whatever that tape is on the edges so that
The masking tape.
the mask. I learned all this stuff from you, man. I had
man,
no
man,
idea.
I taught you for free.
Yeah.
Man. I should have charged you
Now
money.
these
for
were
teaching you.
life lessons. These
At
were
that
life,
point, you stole all his money, so you had no money left to pay you,
now,
alright?
these were life lessons that I had never learned before. Because again, my family, my dad and stuff, different setup. Did not do any of that stuff for himself. So again, we as kids never learned that. So thank you for that, man. It wasn't part of the contract. Wasn't even the fine print, but life skills. You learn a lot.
We learned a lot. We went to auctions and bought $1 chairs for our
yeah.
desk.
Oh, man.
Just forget that. Just forget
The
that
auctions.
auctions.
I remember that.
50 cents, yes. 50 cent table,
That was
yes.
fun, man.
I want 10 desks, $1 each. Remember that?
They had to hire the truck, take it out to the auction place, bid on the auction.
Every
Then-
table is different.
Yeah.
That's right, all different tables. The cabinets are all different, okay?
You had to dismantle the stuff at the auction, fit it
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
into the truck, and then take it to the office. And then this guy here used to assemble it
I
all.
used to assemble that.
Far out.
Oh, wow.
The shoestring budget, man. We don't get paid. I mean, how we started Hejaz. is
Yeah.
insane.
Amazing thing is, you always say it, right? How clients came to the office, saw
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
they still signed up for the
I know.
service.
Yeah.
I know.
Like props, man.
Those clients are heroes.
That was
man.
Yeah.
amazing.
I am telling they're my heroes, those clients.
No, green carpet, red chairs,
Yeah. The
shabby
red
fit
chairs.
out, horrible office. and
If
these
there's
guys-
any client from that year that's actually listening to this right
Yeah.
now, they'll remember what I'm talking about when they came and visited me in that crappy little office.
Yeah.
It was horrendous. But you know what? Great times.
Mm.
Good
No,
memories.
But I think like sometimes I bump into those clients,
Yeah.
and I've actually asked some of them. A lot of them put it down to authenticity.
Yeah.
They were like, "You guys were so simple that we felt that we could trust you just because of simplicity." And that's where I think, and a lot of businesses go wrong as well these days. They're like, we need to look $1 million for people to trust us.
Mm.
You'd be surprised, man. The human being looks for simplicity. If you come across as authentic, truthful, honest, transparent, you'll have their money.
Yeah. We are what you see is what you
Yeah.
get with us. You know, and still this day we're still
Yeah.
the same. What you see is what you get.
And then you guys went to Thomastown, which was a massive,
That was
Step up,
humongous,
man.
Oh, yeah.
man.
massive.
Yeah.
That was a massive
Yeah.
upgrade.
Man, that office had a boardroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember-
Actually had a boardroom.
I remember walking in there, that room right at the back, and we looked up and they were like, "Oh, this will be our boardroom."
I got excited, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, we can actually have meetings now.
Yeah. it had separately, properly partitioned offices, glass panes. I was like, "This is high roller stakes. These ones, this is proper."
Did you go to auction for the?
Of course I
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
did.
the same.
Yeah,
The auction, $2 tables, you know.
it's a winning formula. You stick to it.
Remember those red chairs, those little $1 chairs, you know. But it done the job, man. All right?
Remember when we got that office, we were like, we thought we were in heaven because it came with a reception table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whoa, this is so professional
That
now.
was insanely good, that.
We were
It came,
like-
it came with the reception table. It also came with that server. I think
The
the old
server,
tenants
yeah,
were like, "Oh, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool." It comes with the server
We had
box.
advanced.
Who cares about cloud when you got that, huh?
You got the server. Yeah.
I want to ask, you've had, Bossman, you've had a lot of friends, right? You still have a lot of friends, I think. How supportive were your friends in this journey? Because they say, when a friend opens up a company or something, whatever, if they're selling something, they do something, the friends have to support them, right? They got to support them. Did you see that support?
Very minimum. Yes, there's been one or two friends that done some stuff. Probably the best. I've only one friend that sort of helped me along the journey, still helping me to some degree. Not much at all. Very little.
What do you think is that?
I don't know. everything that previously, I think when you're like growing up in Broadmeadows, and I grew up in Coburg until I was in the mid-teens, in the rough place like Brunswick High School. I grew up in Brunswick Tech School. All we did is gang and fights, and so when you're in that demographic, in that in that sort of areas, you have a lot of friends because you're in the same jungle. Okay. So essentially, when each other's doing something, you sort of support each other. So when I went to and was building Hejaz, I think it was a bit foreign to them. They didn't understand the concept.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going opening up a supermarket or you're opening up a kebab shop or something like that, or a takeaway or a restaurant. So I think they felt it was a bit foreign and thought, it's a bit like a pie in the sky. This guy's in La La Land, because I still remember till this day that, some friends, even when I was like 6 months from opening Hejaz back in 2013, they came to me and said, you know what, there's this great property opportunity. You should buy this property, this land up in Greenvale, And I said, well, I've barely got any money, and the money I've got, I'm going to open up my company, Hejaz, right? They said, why are you wasting your time on something like that? That's not going to work in this and that. You should buy this property. That's how much they believed in it. They genuinely didn't understand the concept, And I still think there's a lot of people that probably, my former friends still probably don't understand exactly what I do. But no, I mean, I think it's become clear that, on this journey, it's taxing on you, mentally on you and physically on you, building like a company like this. And you sort of disengage somewhat with your former life, unfortunately.
On that topic, considering where you came from, how did you find the willingness to evolve that much to go from Brunswick High and that sort of generally blue-collar, no tertiary education, that walk of life, to literally recreate your image, redo the whole thing, and take off from there? That takes a lot of willpower.
It does. To put it in perspective, I think you need to understand background on that. Some things about me a lot of people don't understand, okay? And including my friends, my former friends, most of them. I still have some of them. Is when I was in high school, I was like, I used to fight every day, okay? So I was one of those guys that used to just brawl all the time, and I was in gangs and just fight. But that's all I did. I didn't get into drugs, alcohol. I was a Muslim, okay? And I used to be a practicing Muslim, even when I was very young. But I used to fight a lot, okay? But the good thing about me was I had a certain talent and skill. Not that I want to brag about myself. I was naturally gifted as far as intelligence. So for exams, tests, and whatnot, even in high school, I wouldn't study and I still pass. I was good at it. I'm good at just being smart, okay? So it's like, to give you an example, back then we used to have HSC, and then turned into BCE, okay? So back then it used to be called Higher School Certificate, HSC. And the Year 12 English exam I'd done in 15 minutes. It was a 3-hour exam at Brunswick High School. I'd done it in 15 minutes, okay? And to put it in perspective, I've done master's degrees exams in 10 minutes. So I've got this natural gift of just doing things quick. And my brain, a lot of the time I don't even study. It's just, I pick up things really quick. I just have to read once or go over it once and bang, I'm done. I understand it. It's more of an understanding concept. My brain sort of works with analytics and sort of just understanding. So I've had that for all my life. So the thing about it is, when I finished high school, I had companies try to give me scholarships, because back then it was a bit different. All right, trying to get into university back then was a bit harder than what it is now. Now you got the government gives you those loans and this and that, and anyone can literally go into university now. Yeah. Literally, you can go into university, anything now. Back then it was a bit different. This is 35 years ago. Okay, actually, 35, more than 35 years ago. But anyway, so back then it was like, either you got the money, or you got the damn scores or whatnot, and even then it costs a lot of money to get into the university. And there weren't as many universities back then, right? There was only not many of them at all. So it was very hard to get in. But even then, I had scholarships because I was on the top level. So I was number one in economics, in finance, in accounting, in business at high school, Year 12. Even though I never studied, I just fight it. But I was still number one. okay? But then, well, even though I had scholarships, what I did is, and this is me, all right, and I'm going back to when I was a kid, I said that I don't want to go all the way there because I don't like injustice. So I said I want to be a cop. So all I'd done is a small accounting degree, and then I was going to go in finance, but then I went to become a police force. I said I don't want to be rich, I don't want to go in the corporate world. I don't want to take the scholarships. So I became a cop. That's where I learned a bit about life, where it's not what I thought it was. There's corruption, there's all sorts of stuff everywhere. And there was a lot of racism back then as well, because I was like the first Muslim cop.
Can you give us an example of racism you experienced?
Well, they used to make fun of me praying in the room. They used to put letters in there saying you stinking Muslim and all sorts of stuff. And they used to make fun of me fasting during Ramadan.
I'm guessing back in those days you didn't have all these racial discrimination.
No, none of
Everything
that.
was fair game.
Everything was free for all.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're in an environment where it's mainly them, white people, rednecks, call it what you will. Okay. So they were up against me, and they used to make fun of my deen, my religion. Every time I used to do ibadah of some sort, they would make fun of it, and they'll put things in my locker to make fun of my deen and this and this and this. So the problem is you don't know who's doing it all the time. Sometimes they're doing face. Even back then, the senior officers, like the sergeants, senior sergeants, they should just openly swear, you fucking Turk, you fucking Muslim, this and that. But back then, it was like somehow you can't complain. I know it sounds weird to people now, but back then, there's nowhere to go. Because it's the senior guys doing it, okay? So it was a bit different back then. So I learnt that, you know what, okay, this world's not what I thought it was. And ever since then, I've been in business. I left the police force 2.5 years in, was for various reasons, which I won't discuss here. Essentially, the racism and the corruption was too much for me to handle, and then I started getting threats. So I said, I'll leave. But then, I've learnt life. I went into business, and the last, 35 years I've been in business. So I've learnt. But having said that, I was really good in economics and finance and all that, and I refused to go into the conventional system of haram. So I said, you know what? I just want to be a normal Muslim, because this world is just about passing quickly, passing your test and going to Jannah. That was my goal. Okay. Then in 2007, when my dad passed away, I saw a dream, like literally 1 or 2 weeks after he passed away, about, why can't Muslims control their own money, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I think I've said this before. Well, I saw the dream about Muslims should be controlling their own destiny and controlling their own money, rather than being chained up by their own money, other people controlling it. So I said, you know what? The biggest problem the Muslims have in this world right now is that the wrong people are controlling their money, and they're using that against the Muslims. So since 2007, I've been on the path of building Hejaz. Now, when you say transforming myself, back then it was voluntarily, I was just, if you want to call it a bum, just call it a bum. I just didn't want to do anything to do with wealth. I didn't want to become rich, even though, yes, I had a brain that was super quick. But I simply didn't want to do it. Because there was nothing motivating me, okay? But then when I saw the dream and so forth, I had an epiphany. I said, you know what? That actually makes sense. I've got to start now using this intelligence I've got and build something that the Muslims can actually free themselves from where they are right now. Hence why for me to actually now transform from a guy in Broadmeadows into what you're seeing now was quite simple, because I've always had that intelligence. It's just I never wanted to use it. Right? That's the difference. That's what people don't understand. Right? So my friends who don't know me from those school days, and only know me when I was an adult and in business and whatnot, just the normal businesses, would say, you know what, gee, we didn't know Hakan was that smart. Yes, because I wasn't showing it. But if you look at where I was in high school, and then when I finished high school and the scholarships and whatnot, I was on a different level. I didn't have to study, and I was being number one. But that's why for me it was easy. So that transition for me was simple. And you see, that's why I took it like a duck to water. It was like, no problems, because now I'm motivated. Things change now. I'm going to use this now brain and my skills and my intelligence now for the sake of Allah. I'm going to use it for the din. Because at the end of the day, us Muslims, we're pretty smart. We've got to now start using this talent we have, and we've got to start, and this is where it comes back. I've got to say this. One thing that I used to say back then, and you know me, back then, even back in the 90s, I was in Dhedhy, and we had this mentality, this dunya doesn't mean nothing, you just work on akhirah, you know. It doesn't really matter the dunya, wealth and this and that, forget it, you know. That's how we used to roll back then, you know that, okay? So all we had in our mind was, you know what, forget trying to do something with this dunya, let's just work for akhirah, okay? But now I'm thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. If we have the right job and the right intentions and the right path and we do the right thing, you're actually working for akhirah by doing this. It's different, okay?
You're applying the talents and skills that Allah has given you to do something for His deen.
That's right. Exactly. And that's what I said. And secondly, how are all these Muslims who are in haram right now, how are we going to get these guys out of halal, into halal? How are they going to get out of haram? Because one thing about me is I was born in Melbourne, I never took a loan in my life. Never. Never had a credit card, nothing. Okay? And I'm thinking to myself, not every Muslim can resist that temptation of going to try to grow their wealth at a faster speed by using haram type of products. So some people may say, you know what, no matter what, I am not going to haram, like I did, but not everyone could do that. So I said, you know what, we're going to need to find a solution for this. Hence why we started Hejaz. I was truly driven. And that's why making that transition, so answering your question, no problems at all. So you've got to know the path to be able to answer that question.
Yeah. You know, Ali, it's something I've never asked you before. Obviously, this was your dad's dream. It wasn't exactly your dream. It was shoved down your throat. Okay? You're a passenger, okay, who just told, you know what, son, come along. How did it feel from a family perspective to be like, you know what, dad's, you know, something that no one's done before, something that within your immediate community around you, friends, family, connections, whatever, no one had ever gone down this path. This was something different entirely. Most people were either blue collar, in the trades, running a small business or whatever it was. How does it appeal from a family's perspective? Because there's pressures on you as well to be like, okay, well, people around the family are asking, hey, your dad's lost the plot, hasn't he? Well, what's going on over here? Why is he dragging you guys through?
It's almost like if you were backing him, you're a lunatic like him.
Yeah.
I got that many times. And the amount of times I've had mum and my grandma, even my brother, like, just follow your own dream, don't follow your dad.
Yeah.
Like, he's flipped it. just go do your own thing. And the thing is, like, I was always close to him, right? And it's almost like whatever he did, I was just behind him.
Yeah.
Right? Like a tail. Like, if he goes to a shop, I go with him. Most of the time it was forced. But he forced us so much that it became part of life.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I gotta be next to this guy. And like, my dream was to, like every kid, be a soccer player, be this, be that. It's all unrealistic. It's not gonna happen. Right? The chance of that happening is ridiculous. And when he had this dream, right, and he pretty much quit his job, you're unemployed for like almost 10 years, man. It was so long. How many years was it?
No, it was like 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Right.
That was because I was building the company.
Yeah.
Before
You're
I
unemployed for 5 years, right? And as a kid, like, you don't know how that feels. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So you always think, you know, they're earning money, you're going to be comfortable. Like, the brain can't comprehend the sacrifices that was done.
Yeah.
So you're just there as a passenger. Yeah, we're going to be billionaires one day, right? So in that sort of thing, like, it didn't really affect me. That's the honest truth. Like, I did not, like, my brain couldn't comprehend the sacrifice he was making.
Yeah.
Like, it was impossible for me to comprehend it. But as time goes, and you get more and more mature, and, you know, being 28 years old now, and I'm like, all right, think about it now, right? It's like, you leave Hejaz, you leave your dad, you leave this, and I'm starting from zero, trying to do something. That is terrifying. Like, if I do that right now, right, you know what, Dad, screw you, Muzza, I'm going to do my own thing. And then you have no money, nothing. And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's a scary world. It's a scary world. And I'd love for everyone to try that out. Like, if you have a job now, or if you have something going on right now, just pretend like the next day it's gone, and you're going to start your own thing. You won't do it. It's a scary thought. Yeah. And I don't think I have the balls to do that. I don't think I do. Because, you know, again, we all, like, you, Dad, me, my brother, we've done a lot for this company. So even to leave it just won't make sense because how much sacrifice. It's all of our babies if you really think about it. Yeah, some did more and some did less, but it doesn't matter. Like everyone is psychologically, mentally, physically attached to this thing. So, yeah, to answer your question, like my brain couldn't comprehend it until now.
He once said to me, I don't know if he said this to you before, but he's like, in Ali's few moments of vulnerability, he always is a macho man until a few moments when he softens up. And he's like, Muzza, I think this was at some point when you gave him a lot of shit for something and his little reflective moment. He's like, if Hejaz didn't exist, I reckon I would have been a plumber. And I was like, that's as raw as it gets, but it's true. I'm assuming that you meant
that's
that, right?
That's if you're lucky enough to get a plumbing apprenticeship.
I was looking for an apprenticeship.
Good luck with it.
And I was begging your friend.
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, can you find me an apprenticeship?
It's very hard to get that apprenticeship, okay?
And it wasn't like I don't know where I would have been. Like, God knows at that point.
Yeah.
God knows. But and the unfortunate thing is, right? I think his kids are always going to be labelled as the spoiled kids that landed on gold, right? They were born into riches, and I made peace with that thought, right? Even though it's not really true because we were there from the start. We didn't do the sacrifices that you guys did, but there was still that mental pressure, man. Like when you think of, the Heidelberg office, and then you hired a marketing manager, turned out to be a basket case. If you're watching, basket case, all right, and then he threw him into the marketing role.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I didn't know anything about marketing, right? So what did I do? I told you guys this many times. For hundreds of hours, I was on YouTube learning how to build websites, graphic design. Yeah, it was horrible at the start, but it started getting better and better and better. While I was doing that, what are my friends doing out there enjoying life, clubbing, partying? VL Turbo cars. They did all that.
Yeah.
But again, everyone had a bit of sacrifice into it. So but yeah, coming back to my initial point, like right now, people are going to see your kids as spoiled little shits.
Well, I don't think so.
Oh man, it's going to happen. Amount of comments I've had.
Look,
till
this
day,
put a
people,
lot of work in there.
till this day, people say, "Oh, you're lucky, man. Your dad has a company. Oh, you're lucky, man." You guys don't know shit. Like you guys genuinely don't know anything.
Yeah. No, but when you say they put the work in, that's not what people see.
Yeah, but they have.
People see the
People are not going to see.
People see the Ali of today.
Yeah,
they
man.
don't see the Ali of 10 years ago.
Yeah, but 10 years ago, Ali was working hard.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
Mohammed,
Yeah.
they were working hard.
But society doesn't see that. Society looks
It's
at the
almost
finished
like
article.
you were born into this.
Yeah.
Look, there'll be probably a time when people think that I grew up rich. They won't know what I came from. They won't know
Your
the
dad
sacrifice.
they'll make up things. Your
They'll
dad
make up
was rich.
stuff.
He funded
But
your
I don't
thing.
worry about what people say. It's about the reality. The reality is we know what what it really is. Okay, doesn't matter what people think it is. And right now, this podcast right now, we're telling you exactly what it was. I mean, we didn't grow up with a silver spoon. There's a lot of work we put into this thing. But now, if you look at Hejaz right now, we're a global company now. We've got over 100 employees, and it's a behemoth now, and it's growing every day. It's relentless. We want to be the first Islamic unicorn in the world, fintech unicorn in the world, and inshallah we will be.
You talk about the growth side of it all, like the business. Obviously, we stopped the story at sort of Thomastown. We moved from Thomastown to the city. I'm assuming we can all agree that was probably the catalyst for exponential growth.
Well, let's not give our IP out here.
that move there.
Certainly, that was probably the best move we ever made.
Yeah.
Moving to the city, and then we ramped it up from there. Things turned professional big time. We built more products, and the whole thing changed.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but when you work in the city, you just feel more corporate in a way that you got to be more professional. You got to build better products, become a better company, and the other thing is you can attract better talent as well to work in your company when you work in the city. When you work in Thomastown or in the suburbs, not many good talent want to work for you. Yeah. And we've seen that when we were in Heidelberg and Thomastown. We couldn't attract good talent.
Yeah. I remember I used to run the HR function back in Thomastown.
Well, yeah,
let's
not even go there.
We used to put up like seek ads and stuff for jobs, and you'd get like, if you were lucky, you'd probably get maybe 20, 30 applicants. And the moment you'd start to screen them and have a chat with them, first question, so do you have an office in the city? No, we don't. Where are you based? Thomastown. Beep. Because for so many, like, who on earth is going to drive out to Thomastown,
Yeah.
catch the train? For most people, it's a bus and a train or whatever it is. No way knowing people are going to work out there. And that's where the talent pool that you have access to is so small. People who are willing to travel all the way out there, and it's...
Even corporate partners, man, they take
Yeah.
it more serious.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, because most of the players in the industry are here in the city or in Sydney, okay, and you're just walking distance from a lot of the external stakeholders that we have
No,
now.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was one of the biggest advocates for not moving to the
Yeah,
city. If
I
you
remember
guys
that.
remember,
I
I
remember.
was like, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's
Yeah.
doing. What the hell are you doing, man? All that money. That was a lot of money,
was a lot
man.
of
It was a lot of money. The
Well, back
rent,
then it was. If you look at it from now, it's small money.
the rent
Yeah.
was
But
crazy.
back then it was big money.
Yeah.
Right, I'm like, oh, we're gonna go bankrupt. Right, we're gonna. That's it. It's finished. Back to plumbing, man.
Back to looking for apprenticeships.
Back to looking for apprenticeships, man. That's it. Done. And then I was wrong.
Yeah.
You
That
were
was
wrong.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was a gamble, man.
Yeah, but you got to remember,
Mate, business is a risk.
Yeah.
It's always a
well,
gamble.
we leverage that whole city thing as well, right? Remember
we did.
the service address,
Yeah.
365 Collins Street. We're like, oh, you know what? Let's set up over here. But again, it's perception is reality. Corporate partners needed to see that on
Yeah.
your business card you had an address that was. So a lot of companies do that. A lot of people have, London office, this office, that office. They don't actually have an office. They've got a serviced office there. But again, they try to give that perception of we're sizable.
But still, it's fake. But
Yeah.
we had to do the real thing, which we did.
Yeah,
So once we did move to the city and made that transition, things changed.
yeah.
The whole company changed. It became behemoth. Every year since then, it's just taken off.
You're the competitors right now. They're all in like Muslim heartlands,
Yeah.
right? And why didn't you follow that trend?
Great question. Great question. Look, at the end of the day, I think Heidelberg and Thomastown is not really Muslim hard. We've done that because we're poverties. Right? We've done that the main. Actually, we wanted to go to Heidelberg, where the Muslim heartland. We couldn't actually afford it. Right? But then, when we could afford it, we refused to go there. We said, you know what, we need to go to the city. All right? And the reason why is we wanted. Well, we can say it now. We wanted legitimacy. We thought that by going to the city, we will be seen more serious as a serious player with the community, particularly the community that was a bit, let's say, not sure if we're the real deal. Because we know who we are. And we have great plans for global conquest, essentially. But not everyone saw it that way, especially if you're in the suburbs. So we said, you know what, for legitimacy-wise, to bring credibility and to bring those community members who's a bit reluctant and doesn't understand if we have the credentials for this, we said we need to move to the city. And that's what we did. And it worked. Exactly how we planned it.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't believe it. But
No, but we saw like immediately the way clients treated you, the way staff started to come towards you, the way corporate partners worked with you. Because again, in Melbourne, if you're not in the Collins Street precinct, in that area there, that's where all the banks are, financial service institutions, fund managers, whatnot. If you're not in that little few addresses, you don't exist. You could be, if you're on the wrong end of Melbourne CBD, you don't exist. And we were out there in the burbs, in no man's land. No one cared.
look, the other thing is also, I don't know how many asset managers there are that actually are station or headquartered in the suburbs. We're an asset
Very, very
manager.
few.
We're a legit asset manager with a lot of money, funds under management in Thomastown. It didn't make sense.
Next to people, they're selling boxes and
Yeah,
stuff, man.
Yeah.
exactly. And we're saying to ourselves, and there's little takeaways on the
Yeah,
side and kebab places, the other side, pizza places. We're saying, how is an asset
Literally
manager?
residential houses in front of us, man.
Yeah,
front of us.
it is residential
You're just
houses in
seeing
front of us.
a mum sweeping the floors in
Yeah,
front of you. It's
that's right.
crazy.
It doesn't make sense for an asset manager to be there. So when we're saying, you know what, Hejaz asset management is in Thomastown, it doesn't make sense. People are saying, huh? What? That was another reason why we had to move to the city. Because asset manager, it's just natural that you should be in a CBD location, central leisure, central business district. And hence why the move was just quite obvious. And those other Muslim organisations you're talking about, they're not out and out asset managers. They simply aren't. We are. And we have intentions to become a global asset manager, which we are now. We're a global asset manager now. So things have changed.
Oh, let's share the story of how you came up with the name Hejaz.
No,
I know till this day.
This is where I walk off.
This is the amount of times every year
Oh,
we have to make fun of Muzzammil
And we have to.
for coming up with the horrible names, right? But before we get into that, can you explain, like, how'd you come up with that name? Because we were in the garage for many hours, if not days. I can't really remember.
Trying to come up
with a name.
Yeah.
And then you popped up Hejaz.
Do you remember anything about that? How I came up with the name?
No,
Because you were very young
I
then.
don't remember. I know it was nighttime. We were in the garage, and it popped up. I just don't know how we came about it, or how you came about it. But I know the setting of it.
You know the setting. Do you remember?
No.
Okay. So you want to come up with the name first, and then we'll make fun of
Yeah,
Muzzammil.
we can make. And then we'll look at the names that popped up.
Oh look, it was. You're right. We're probably about a week I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like literally a week I was just in my brain, I'm brainstorming in my head a name, okay? But then there was two things I had to cover to come up with the name. I said, it has to be a name that is not obvious Islamic, but all Muslims know is Islamic. So those two things had to be covered. I want all Muslims to know that it's Islamic, but I don't want it to be an obvious Islamic, if that makes sense. Okay? So I've been thinking about what could it be. So I came up with a lot of words and a lot of things, and I'm saying to but then in my mind, for some reason, Hejaz popped up where it's not like I saw something and I saw Hejaz and I said, oh, yeah, Hejaz. No, I didn't. It just came into my head. So it's not like I saw it somewhere. It just popped in my head. I said, then I thought about the Ottoman Empire. I'm thinking the Seljuk Empire. You know me, well, Seljuk, our bloodline comes back from Seljuk Empire. So our ancestors from the Seljuk Empire. I'm thinking the Seljuk Empire. I'm thinking, can it be from the Seljuk Empire something that we can come up with a name from the Seljuk Empire that actually relates to Islam, okay? But then I'm thinking, okay, Salahuddin comes to my mind because Salahuddin's commander of the Seljuk Empire, right? As you know, he was the son-in-law of the Seljuk Sultan back then, all right? And he was sent on a mission to take Jerusalem off the Crusaders. So I'm thinking about Jerusalem, Qudus, Salahuddin, but then I said, you know, Jerusalem's not really Islamic. It is, but it's not like Qudus. Then Hejaz came to my head. I said, hold on, Ottomans, Hejaz province, they controlled that for centuries. My ancestors come from the Seljuks and Ottomans. Who better deserves that name than us? I said to myself. And I said, Hejaz actually ticks those two boxes.
Yeah.
Every Muslim knows Hejaz as Hejaz province, where the holy land, the holy cities are, you know, okay? And non-Muslims won't know it's Islamic, so it's not obvious Islamic, but Muslims will know Islamic. So I said, it ticks boxes, both of them. And it just sounds great. It sounds like a cool name, I said. Right? That's it, I said, Hejaz. But then, I said, let me just test the buzzer out.
This is where all types of shit.
I said, Muzza, could you come up with some names for this company, all right?
So just a disclaimer on this. You know those two criteria that you had? It had to be... I focused on one and I completely left out the other.
Yeah,
So-
the other you didn't tick.
Exactly.
That was the problem.
And
Yes.
that's where my entire strategy fell
Yeah.
apart. Because
Yeah.
I focused on, like, this is going to be Islamic Financial Services, Muslim only, so it has to just target Muslims. So I went hard with
Islamic.
Arabic,
Yeah.
Mudaraba, Musharaka, this thing, that thing.
Don't forget the Al Khiyar.
Khiyar.
Al
It
Khiyar.
was, yeah.
And us being Turks, Al Khiyar, all right? Khiyar is cucumber.
Yes.
And we're saying, what the hell is Muzzammil talking about with cucumber?
Yeah.
Al Khiyar.
Yeah, but khiyar in Arabic is like choice.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, we're
Well, in
giving
Turkish,
Muslims
it's
a
khiyar
choice.
means you're like. Sometimes people use it as slang as you're an idiot, like
Okay.
stupid. Khiyar. Alright?
You're a cucumber.
You're a cucumber. Al Khiyar.
Yeah.
Okay. He comes back, that legend in 2011.
Yeah,
this is,
I know.
This is in 2011.
Yeah.
All right. We're coming up with names. This is 3 years before we officially open Hejaz.
Yeah.
All right. He comes back with a whole list of names.
I just pulled out the document.
Yeah.
I've still got that
I
list.
just pulled it out. All right?
That list haunts me, man.
So the way
I still showed it to Muzza.
So what Muzzammil did was he
This is a proper
he
stitch
wrote
up.
down a whole bunch of names,
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
right? And he went to consult a sheikh.
Yep.
He's like, dear sheikh, please help us name this company. Here are these names.
Here's some options.
Please help us. Right? The first name is Al Hilal, right? And he has it in English. Hilal means
Al
crescent.
Hilal. What is it? Al Hilal Financial Services.
Al Hilal Financials.
Al Hilal Financials.
I'm sure there's a Hilal somewhere else in the world that does
There
financial
probably
services.
is.
I'm sure there's
Probably
many of
is.
them. There's sure
And
there's
then the second option was Al Hira Financials.
Really?
Yeah,
many. You even forgot what you've done 13 years ago.
Hira is in the Mount Hira, you know, yes.
And number 3, the greatest of all, Al Khiyar.
that I can't forget.
Hey, I didn't know it meant cucumber in Turkish, okay?
Well, you should have known, okay?
The fourth one is Al Murabaha, right? And the fifth one is when Mazza said, yeah, this is my preference.
He's got a preference in there.
His preference was Al Mudaraba Financials.
Al Mudaraba Financial Services.
Yeah, so
What are you thinking, Muzza?
Yeah, I don't know. It's 2011, I was too young to make a wise call, so I stuffed it up miserably.
At least you accepted it, right?
No, big time.
And he put it in bold here saying, this is basically the business model that we intend to implement, and therefore the most appropriate name for the business, in my humble opinion.
Could you keep your humble opinion to yourself?
Yeah, I know, I should.
Right?
I should. Particularly that one.
The great thing was, me being the guy I am, I didn't accept any of it, right? Which luckily I didn't.
Didn't even entertain it, man. He's like, you know,
Lucky-
stuff
I
you-
just said, what the hell is this piece of junk? And never looked at it again.
Hey, but honestly, realistically speaking, if we actually named one of those, I genuinely think we'd have not gotten this far.
Oh, all right.
I don't think
I
the white
believe that.
people will want to work
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Al Mudaraba. No
Yeah.
way.
Or El Hiyad.
Nah, no way, man. It's not gonna happen.
And particularly where like marketing and social media has gone since 2011 till today, everything is abbreviated, shortened, more slangy.
Shorter.
Yeah. It would not work. Imagine a URL. Imagine trying to spell somebody. My email address is blah 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 blah. Al Khiyar. Yeah.
El Mudaraba.
Imagine, I feel sorry for the staff, man. Like, imagine they're going,
Yeah.
alkhiyar.com. Like, come on, man. Man, boy,
El Mudaraba Financial Services.
15 years of your throat will
Your
be
throat's
gone,
gone.
man. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. Well, how'd you come up with those names?
Look, they're all Islamic finance related terminology. So I was like, okay, well, if we're doing Islamic finance, then find out. And the funny thing is, those names, when you go to the Middle East, every institution is called those names. So when you go to Bahrain, Kuwait, these sorts of countries, it's very common. Hilal, this, Hira, that. So I was like, okay, it's okay for one part of the world, but for a Western country, that would not fly.
But you know what's interesting about all that? You got a lot of these Al Mudarabas, Al Musharakas, and finances all over the world.
Yeah.
And, all sorts of... These common names, they're everywhere.
The most common is probably Amana. Amana,
Amana
every-
and Crescent. There's a lot of
everywhere.
Crescents as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these ones. What I'm surprised about, there's no Hejaz.
Yeah.
Not one, other than us, in the whole world. All right? How come no one thought about it? It's like the coolest name ever, man.
Yeah.
It's such a cool name. Even in the Muslim world, it sounds so great. Hejaz. I mean, that's where the two holiest cities in Islam is. Hejaz province. But no one thought of it.
It was meant to be.
You'll see, as the company grows, you'll see people copying it.
Yeah. We've got the right same window globally.
Not financial, but like other things will happen.
Oh, okay.
Like Hejaz this, Hejaz that, Hejaz car repairs. It'll start popping up.
They've probably got it already, Hejaz, panel beating in Hejaz province in Saudi Arabia.
It will happen more and more. It will happen because I remember. I think you were next to me when we went to Saudi Arabia. I was on the plane and I was wearing that one. I was wearing that, and the guy just looking at me because we were landed. We were just waiting to get out. Hejaz, great name. Like, yeah, it's a great name. It's like, what do you do? Like, money stuff, man. It's like, yeah, good. And he had a Rolex watch too, man.
Yeah.
It was so good. But it's like Saudis love it.
Yeah.
They love the
They
name.
love
Hejaz.
the name.
Yeah. We're going to Saudi this weekend. People love Hejaz. And we're going to Hejaz province as well.
Yeah.
We're going to Hejaz province this weekend. But again, when we were there, people from Hejaz province, they say, man, you're carrying a big burden here with a big name. Right? And we said, yeah, we know that. We're aware of that. It's special, Hejaz. And you know what? I'm actually proud to carry that name, because we're the only ones in the world. I haven't seen anyone else, like in the financial world, carry the Hejaz name.
Yeah.
So, it's from Allah. Alhamdulillah. I think we're happy with that name. So, lucky we didn't go with Muzza's suggestions, a humble opinion.
What's with the L's though? Why is there an L in front of everything?
Da. L means da.
Yeah, I know, but like, why?
Yeah. It's just, that's just how things are. In Arab world particularly, al something, it's very, very common. Al and Ibn.
Ibn, yeah.
Ibn. Everything
Ibn,
in the Middle East is Ibn something.
I mean, I see some businesses where they put their own name,
Yeah.
like their surname or their first name or their kid's name. Or I don't understand that concept, because the way I look at our company, Hejaz, is it's not our company. One day I'm hoping that we're just custodians, and one day it's going to be passed on to other people. And I want this the Hejaz company, once it's global and it's inshallah a global superpower, I want it to be owned by Muslims all over the world. So why would you put your own name? Why would I put Hakan or Hakan Ozyon or Ozyon Financial Services or something like that? It doesn't make sense to me, because I don't expect to own this company. One day it's going to be passed over. So we're custodians. That's the way I look at it. Allah has allowed us a privileges of opening it and building it. Then we pass it on to the next generations. That's the way I look at it.
One of the most heavily contended or discussed or debated topics within our four walls a few years ago, or even until today we still don't have this, is around to grow or not to grow. Right? There's always this view about, have we done enough, and we just sit on our laurels and clip a ticket.
Oh, you know where I stand on that.
Or this overly ambitious, go all the way sort of mentality. You both have at different times. You've stuck to your year. You want to lightning speed. Never want to budge.
I've never budged from global conquest.
Ali's had his moments where he's like, why can't we just sit back and relax and just, enjoy the spoils of war? What's from why that perspective?
I mean, my mood changes.
Yeah.
Right.
And we know.
I'm a bit bipolar in that.
So when times are good, keep going.
The thing is, like, I'm a type of guy that I love adrenaline. I love just doing weird things, right? Like, we've got to keep going. I love it, right? And in all honesty, I love the way he does things. Where he just he does a million things, right? He's just out there to conquer the world, and I love it, right? Because you're there. Because you only live once, man, right? Try to leave a footprint, right? And I want that. I want the Hejaz thing to leave a footprint, right? And do weird things, go hard, blah, blah, blah. And when things get tough, right? And he does dumb decisions, which he does sometimes, but sometimes more, a lot of times, then I'm like, shit, man, maybe we should just relax a bit. Yeah. Just relax. Like, let's not lose what we have, man. Let's not lose it. And then the next morning I'll wake up like, you know what? Stuff it. Just conquer the world, man. Like, if you sink in style, man. Sink in style. And my mind always changes. It always changes. And I know your mind never changes. No. It's always just keep always going and going and going and going.
Yeah. Now, your ability to be eternally optimistic, irrespective of what's in front of you, is nuts. It's nuts. Like, in 15 years or so that I've known you, you've never once, wavered in that regard. You never went even doubted yourself. It's crazy. I know.
Why though? Why?
I believe in destiny, and in destiny, I believe what Allah's written for us is going to happen, and we're on a ride that Allah's one has written, regardless. We just got to work our ass off, essentially, and wherever Allah takes us, He's going to take us. And I believe that if He's going to use me to do something great for the Ummah, it's going to happen. And I need to just work hard, non-stop. Because the way I look at it is this. I remember there was a story about a pious man. I forgot, it was in the Ottoman Empire. I can't remember what it was. Where they said someone came with news that he was a merchant on his ships and all that. And they said, oh, your ship sunk, and all the goods and all that was lost. And he said, Alhamdulillah, right? Then a couple of hours later, the same guy came back and said, oh, it was a mistake. It wasn't your ship, all right? Your ship's okay, all right? They said, Alhamdulillah. And then someone asked him, well, you said Alhamdulillah that, you said Alhamdulillah, what was that? And he said, when they said it sunk, I just wanted to check my heart. Was it sad that I lost dunya, a bit of dunya? And I looked at it and my heart was no problems. So I said, Alhamdulillah. And then when he came and said it didn't sink, I was checking, was I happy that I still got my dunya there, some of that, and was I happy that nothing happened to my dunya possessions? I looked at it and it wasn't affected, so Alhamdulillah. So because I grew up with that sort of mentality, I said, you know what? At the end of the day, we own nothing in this world. That's my mentality. We own nothing. Everything that's given to us from Allah, and everything is taken from Allah. So why would I be worried when I'm controlled by Him?
Yeah.
It's just 100% tawakkul. It's like, you know that you are controlled by the Creator. Why would I care? I'm just going to do a billion miles an hour, and whatever Allah has written for me is going to happen. That's the way I work. And that's why you'll never see me negative. I will always be positive, no matter what happens. And I believe in 100%. That's why you'll never see me ever negative. And yes, you're saying it's nuts, because I've never seen anyone like that, ever. All right, but no matter what happens, and you know the challenges we've had over the journey. I mean, we've had so many mountains and so many challenges, so many disappointments, and things have gone wrong many times. And you never saw me once hesitate. You know, if something bad happens or wrong or a challenge happens, I don't call it a disaster. I call it a challenge. I just say, let's move on. Let's keep going. And that's because of my belief.
Get the strong belief, man.
Yes, unwavering.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one thing, because like when you build something, you don't want to lose it, man.
No, it's not mine though. Allah owns it. Why would I worry about it? It's His property.
No, because for most people, it's like, okay, well, when the business was young and new, you hadn't built anything. So you're like, you know what, if I go too hard and if it falls apart and if I lose it, well, there's nothing that much I've lost. But you're at a point now where you're like, you know what, there's so much there. And you then, it's more calculated risks and all that type of stuff. So, I don't know. It's a good mindset that you have. It's really
And
good.
the other thing is, I know, I take comfort in the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't give you a burden that you can't handle. I take comfort in that. And I know He won't do that. I know He won't put a burden that you can't handle. Okay? Yes, you may, and everyone's burden levels are different. And you probably noticed over the journey, I don't have to tell you how much stuff I can take. You probably know that. Right? I could take a lot. So alhamdulillah, Allah has created me in that way where I can take a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. And alhamdulillah, as long as Allah doesn't take that away from me, I'm happy, you know. And the biggest challenge I don't want, and I make dua to Allah all the time, is just give me good health. As long as I can take the workload and the pressure and everything else, I'm fine. If it takes my health away and I can't do that anymore, that's the only thing I'm worried about. But again, that's in the hands of Him.
You used the word disappointment before. In the journey so far, what to you has been the biggest disappointment?
I think you know what it is. I don't have to tell you. Biggest disappointment is the people I started off with. Not everyone's there. They didn't come on that journey with me. To me, okay, when I embarked on this journey almost 2 decades ago, okay, 07, so we're, what, 17 years in now. It's almost 2 decades. It just seems like yesterday to me. If you look at all the people around me back then and who I've got remaining now since those days, there aren't many left. To me, the greatest enjoyment, even though it's been a very, very hard journey, this 17 years, it's been a very hard journey to build this company. I genuinely think that the greatest thing that came out of this was the journey. And unfortunately, a lot of people, well, pretty much everyone, but some still there, but almost, it is everyone. I'm not going to say almost everyone. Everyone doubted me. And everyone were no-sayers, or naysayers as they call it. And no one really supported me. And that's the facts. Even Ali, Ali, as you said, was always around me. And then later on, you joined me, when I need the money. And then you're my last man standing. I said, Muzza, you want to join? You said, yep, that's it, come on. But the reality is, no one believed in me. And that is the biggest disappointment. I truly believe that if people around me rallied with me, around me, would have even done greater things. But again, Allah knows best. But that's, to this day, I am extremely disappointed. I do reflect on that. Don't think I don't. I do reflect on it, and we have a whole graveyard full behind us, and I think you know that, of people that were with us one time or another. It's sad. It's sad. Sometimes, as they say, it's quite lonely at the top sometimes. And I'm not saying I'm top. Allah knows best. We're all equal as far as people are concerned. I'm not above anyone else. As the Prophet ﷺ said, you only head on taqwa. So I'll never say the top. So maybe that's the wrong terminology. But when you go down this path, a lot of people drop off. Simply, they don't believe in what you're doing, and they don't believe in. They don't support you. They don't believe in it, and they all drop off. And if anything, some of them actually don't want you to succeed.
Yeah, distrusters.
It's sad.
Yeah.
So by far, that's my discipline. I can take on any business challenge you want, and it's all challenges for my life. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to do something right, I believe that you have to have challenges. If you don't have challenges and everything's going smoothly, maybe what you're doing is actually not right. The more headaches, the more challenges you got, more people try to impede you, the more you know you're on the right path. Okay, that's the way I look at it. The only disappointment thing is the people. It's sad, you know. It's sad, but that's life. So what's your biggest disappointment then?
It's a little bit similar in the sense that, like, along the journey, we've met some people that have a lot of talent, and we've invested a lot of time, effort, energy into them. And then for them not to see that themselves, like, I can see what you can become, but you can't see it yourself. And you won't invest everything that you have into your own self. I'm not saying invest in my business. I'm saying put it into yourself. Believe in yourself, back yourself in, train yourself, develop yourself. For them not to do that, and then sometimes they even turn around and say, oh, well, you didn't do right by me, or whatever it was. That's the part that disappoints me out of all that. It's just, it's not the personal side of it. It's just, as you said, people who could have been so much more for themselves and to support the business, who didn't capitalize on the opportunity. That's quite sad. And the sad thing is, like, sometimes you bump into those people over the years that have passed, and you're like, you see, grass wasn't greener. See, you could have done better. But it's too late now. You know, the business has moved on.
You care about them more than they care about themselves.
Well, they think they're doing the right thing. So that's why, I don't worry about that, because everyone's destiny is in their own hands. Well, again, it's from Allah, everything. So maybe they were not destined for that, okay? So I'm not actually concerned about that. Yeah, I know you are, and I know for a fact that you've been hurt a few times over that. But look, over time, it'll become normal. That's why I see it. It's just human nature for not everyone to take their opportunities. It's just normal. And you've seen plenty of that. I don't have to say that, Ali. You've seen too much times that you've tried to give opportunities to people and they just haven't taken it.
Like, it doesn't understand. It's almost like Allah's like, yeah, you're not having any in your fun, mate. You get back in there. It's crazy, man.
That's fine.
It's crazy.
It's human nature. Not everyone's, destined for it. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that.
Yeah. The thing is, this beast takes up a lot of time as well, man.
Yeah. It's a big
commitment. Yeah, but see, if you're looking at it from our lens and if you're looking at it from the proper lens, and I know there's a lot of people in Hejaz right now that's really enjoying the ride. I know for a fact, okay? They're loving this ride. And they are not the owners. But they have a stake. There is a stake in this. They're a stakeholder. Because at the end of the day, we are the Hejaz family. We always say that. And they've all got a stake in it. They don't have to own shares, but they have a stake in it. Okay? And they genuinely are loving this journey. Okay? As much as we are. And that's what it's about. If you see that in that perspective, you know what? It's very enjoyable.
And that's probably the part that's probably the most pleasing, to see that there have been people who started the journey and have developed and become so much more than they were at the start.
So look at it from that lens. You look at the ones that didn't take the opportunity, but there's a lot to have. We've got people here in Hejaz that's been here, 7, 8 years now. And they've developed so much from when they started. They're literally superheroes.
When you see them, you feel proud because, you know what, in some way I had a hand to play in that. I contributed to that success. That's right. And it's so fulfilling.
And they're so happy with their life now. And that to me is another feeling. Like, it's one thing having an idea in a garage, almost 2 decades ago, where all of a sudden, in 2007, I'm sitting in a garage thinking of what to do as far as this is concerned. And then it's another thing, 17 years later, having over 100 employees, they have a stake in this company and earning a living out of this and supporting their family. All right? And the way we're going, I wouldn't be surprised in 5 years' time we've got thousands of employees. Okay, at the rate we're going right now. All right? So it's pleasing. It's pleasing. It really is. It's rewarding.
My last question would be to both of you. I'll start with you. Is there anything you'd change if you were to restart this journey?
Right from the start, change you're talking about?
Yeah. What's something you'd do differently?
There is one thing. There is one.
Love your kids more?
You're thinking the opposite. Be harder on them.
I don't think I was hard enough. Okay. There is one thing. Yeah. Well, maybe I shouldn't say it.
Just say it, man. What is it? Someone could learn from it.
Let Muzza answer it first. Let me think about this a little bit, alright?
Throw me on the bus. Yeah, the funny thing was, I said this as a joke to you 2 days ago. I probably actually mean it, because in my heart of hearts, I reflect on this. I'm like, you know what? I stuffed that up. And that was, ironically, I should have actually been better at accounting. That's probably, it's a dumb thing. It's a dumb thing. I never paid attention in university. I always skimmed over accounting subjects. But you don't realize, as a business person, how important, like, understanding, obviously a high level understanding of financials is, yeah, everyone has that. But to understand the inner workings, to be able to manage it, like the way he does, that's a weakness that I have there. I'm like, and I don't have the willingness, I guess, to go back and correct it and fix it now. I'm like, I'm too far gone. But that's something that if I had my time again, that was your question. If you had your time again, what would you fix? That's probably the one thing I would change. But otherwise, it's been a hell of a ride, man. And I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I've been asked that before, what would you change? I was like, nah, man. It's bloody awesome. And there are moments where you're like, I wish I wasn't in this jam. But it's momentary. It passes.
All right, back to me.
I'm waiting.
There really isn't anything I can change, because I didn't have any money. Okay. I mean, what can you change when you're a pauper? It's not like I had access to millions of dollars. I mean, obviously, if you look at the Hejaz journey, me being me, I'd like to have things quicker. I know everyone thinks that we work going at lightning speed, but I'm the sort of guy that never fast enough. I like things done yesterday. I think I'm famous for that. Right? I always say to people, it's got to be done yesterday, not today. Right? For me, I would love to go on faster. But I didn't have the resources.
How much more faster can you go, man?
I know people look at it that way. Look, it may sound weird, okay? It may sound weird, but, and I've said this many times, but I don't know if people really listen to it, but I've said this many times. And I genuinely mean this. And that's the problem. People don't understand how much it means to me. I say it, but people just brush it off, okay? I genuinely think that every day that passes, that there are Muslims in haram, is a day that's wasted. And people may say I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it. No, I genuinely believe that. And it hurts me inside. So, I'd like to get 100 years in one day if I can, okay? And build this into a global behemoth where every Muslim is out of haram. So that every day that passes that we haven't accomplished our mission, to me, is too slow. As weird as this sounds, and I know people are out there probably saying, no, come on, man, you're just being unrealistic here. But I feel that. I genuinely feel that. So if I can move things faster and we can become a global monster where every Muslim in the world, no matter where each corner they could be at the bottom, they could be in Antarctica for all I care, all right? Or damn in the middle of Africa. As long as I got access to an Islamic financial product and they're not in haram, okay, that's what I will care about. And as long as they have access to it. Now, them coming to it is Allah's thing. They want him to go into halal or haram. That's a different story. But then, as long as we can give them access to it. So, can we have gone faster? That's what I always ask myself.
What about you? Turn your question back on you.
What I would change? I don't know, man. Honestly, probably nothing, to be honest. There's nothing you can change.
You're saying it's perfect, huh?
It's not perfect. But that's the good thing about life, man. where if it's not perfect, that's when it's perfect. Like things aren't supposed to go perfect, man. It's not. It's supposed to be give you anxiety here and there. Like your heart has to pump, man.
It builds your character.
Like, yeah, like if everything was perfect, you're not gonna build. You're not gonna grow. It's like an actual kid that grows into a multi-billion-dollar family. Like, how's he gonna grow his character? The guy has everything, right? And that's why I wouldn't change anything. Like, we say it a lot that we've been through so much stress, craziness that you become bulletproof, man.
It doesn't phase you.
It doesn't phase you.
Yeah.
And it reflects on my personal life, where if something big happens, it's almost like, we'll get through it. Yeah, you get stressed, angry, blah, blah, blah. But you could deal with it. I remember that, you guys remember that Thomas Jan saga with my brother, right? That was probably the biggest headache we've had, the first big headache, if you guys remember, right? And then, ever since then, the problems started getting bigger and more crazy, this and that. It's almost like you're building up to, like what Fadi said, right? It's like doing weights. You start 10 kilos, 20 kilos, you make it to 300
You build
kilos.
resistance.
You build it out.
Yeah.
You build capacity.
So I wouldn't change anything. The only coming back to the disappointing thing, probably the only disappointing thing was you lose a lot of people in the journey, man. Like we spoke about it. You lose a lot of people in the journey. You lose family, you lose friends, and it's not because you want to lose them. It's just you just don't have the time. You don't have the time. And then what do people say? Yeah, he's gotten ahead of himself. He's made money. It's not that. It's genuinely not that. It's just you don't have time, right? Like right now, what's the time? It's 6:30 p.m., right? What are most people doing? Hey, boss, can I leave work early? Or I got to meet up the boys at a shisha bar, right? You don't have that luxury. You know, you work until 8 p.m., 9 p.m. There's been times, and you guys would have done it too, where you generally work until 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I've done that many times, man. I still do it sometimes. It's the sacrifices you do to get to here. And that's why I wouldn't change anything. Plus, the disappointing thing is you lose a lot of people.
I remember the nights when we used to drive back from client houses, client meetings or whatnot, 12 p.m. in Dandenong Way, and you get home and you completely
12 a.m.
wrecked.
Was that not p.m.?
Sorry, 12 a.m. And the next morning you're back up again. Army general over there waiting in the office at 7 a.m.
If you come late, you got to buy a kebab.
Yeah, all that type
Those
of
that don't know, right? If you'd come 1 minute late, he would make you buy a kebab.
Yep.
There was a time I think Mazza came late. Like, there's 5 days in a working day. He came late like 7 times somehow.
No,
right?
hey, there was 6 days back then. We used to work
Yeah, we
Saturdays.
used to work
Oh,
Saturdays.
that's true.
Yeah, we used to work
6 days,
Saturdays.
6 kebabs.
Oh, man.
Alright.
Those are good though, man. Those kebabs,
ridiculous.
those free kebabs.
Yeah, those free. That's how we got fat. We put on 30 kilos back then.
We haven't recovered since.
We try and recover, we can't.
But that's the thing, again, you think about, you look at that, and then sometimes you bump into, sometimes we go out to schools and we talk with, your careers days, you talk to, young graduates or whatever it is, and you look at their outlook on life, and I'm like, you're kidding yourself, man. Like, you really think that you can sit on your ass and clock in, clock out, and you're going to be a multi-millionaire? Who are you kidding? Seriously. Like this, you have to be able to do exceptional things to achieve exceptional things. You have to be willing to do things that no one else will do, so that you can achieve some things that no one else can do. And most people just don't get it. They simply don't get it.
But as far as the great thing about this journey is, the more ground you make, the more opportunities come. It's insane. It's like you're creating its own monster. It's amazing. Like literally, it's like, previously, if you're, back, let's say 10, 15 years ago, you got this limited resources and you're working for one thing, you try to get this done, okay? The bigger you get, the more things you're going at the same time. All of a sudden, now we've got like 30 things going at the same time right now. 30, products and projects here and initiatives here, deals on the other side, multi-country type of, projects we've got going as well, all at the same time. But at the start, you're struggling with one project, okay? You're working on one thing and trying to get that off the ground, It's amazing that when the company gets to the growth stage, because you're building the foundation for a long time. Once the foundation is built and you're now growing the growth stage, it's insane. It's an adrenaline rush. I mean, to put it in perspective, the biggest adrenaline rush I used to get in my whole life was when I was in the police car. I was a cop many years ago now, as I said at the start of the podcast. And you used to turn the lights and bells. So the sirens and the lights, and you're going for an emergency, right? And you're driving like 200 kilometres an hour with the lights flashing. And at night, it's even more spectacular. So I remember on Sydney Road in Brunswick, I was driving like 180 kilometres an hour on Sydney Road at night, right, in Brunswick. And it was just reflecting off the windows when I'm flying down Sydney Road. That's an adrenaline rush. Okay, it's like your veins are popping. It's, right? This is similar to that. It's like now we've got an adrenaline rush. You know, you're just like it's an addiction. You want to conquer the world. You know. So that's the only thing that I can compare with that. When I was a cop driving the police car, like very fast in a suburban built-up area with the lights flashing, the siren going. You know, even like I still remember to this day. You know, even on daytime when I was driving the police car like very fast, and the siren, this and that. Sometimes it's like slow motion, even though you're going 200 kilometers an hour. It's like slow motion where you see people watching you. Because you're going so fast in a police car, lights and bells, they're watching you going, and sometimes you're just seeing them. You're driving the car, but you're seeing them, it's like slow motion. They're watching you, right? And in that instant, you're just going, I'm the superstar. I'm pretty cool. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden, you're getting back to that adrenaline rush saying, you know what? Whew, this feels good. You know, we're in the growth stage now. You know? We are building a behemoth. We're building something special here. You know? And now it becomes an addiction. You're saying, you know what? We are genuinely making change. We're genuinely making change to the community. And so many clients and so many people say, you know, making dua. You see that firsthand. They're making dua saying, you know, alhamdulillah, you took us out of haram. You've helped us. Now we feel more comfortable. We can sleep better at night. And it feels so good. It feels like it's like an addition now. It's like you need that injection of those du'as coming in, those clients coming in and saying, you know, thank you. It just feels so good. You know what I mean? Now it's a different adrenaline rush. You know? Forget the cop car now. This is good. I'm enjoying this. So it's one thing now, the journey. There's another thing when you're making tangible changes in people's lives. And now these people, previously, how many people we've spoken to, they used to say, you know what, before when I was with the Commonwealth Bank, I just didn't feel comfortable and I couldn't sleep that night properly. But now, I feel good. I just feel like so much a burden off me. I feel at peace now. I can sleep good now. How many people have told me that?
Yeah.
And how good that feels. How good does that feel? It's an adrenaline, man. It just feels like, and you want more of it. You want more. You want to build more offices around the world. You want to reach more people. We've got the Hello Money app coming out. You want that to go all over the world. You want Muslims to go. Let's rally around halal now. And you feel so good about this. I feel excited. You know what I mean? It makes me, that's why I genuinely, and this is hard to believe, and a lot of people won't understand this. When I'm sleeping at night, and this is the truth, okay? I don't know if you guys do this. When I'm sleeping at
There we go. What the hell? What do you do, man?
He's a psycho.
This is truth. When I'm sleeping at night, I say, I want to just close my eyes, sleep, so quickly the morning comes so I can go work. I don't know if you guys do that. Obviously you don't, okay?
But I'm sure Ali wakes up in the morning. Oh, it's 6 o'clock. Shit, alarm, snooze. Go back to
Honestly,
bed.
The thing is, the thing is, I get annoyed when it's almost 5 o'clock. Because I got a million things going on. I'm like, I really don't want to go home. Because I know when I go home, I'm going to work anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'd rather sit here and avoid the traffic. Right? That's the only feeling I get. Right? When I sleep, I want to sleep. Right? I don't want to think about work. That's psychotic, man.
Yeah.
Get that checked.
No, but
I actually can't wait for the morning so I can go to work and get started again.
all I feel is that there simply aren't enough hours in a day.
Yeah, that's
There
100%.
is so much to do, and you're like, oh.
There is.
And the funny thing is, you kid yourself when you're starting off. You're like, you know what? This will get easier.
He
It doesn't get easier.
He conned us with that. He's like, boys, we're going to have 20 staff soon. And we're not going to work much. You have 100 staff and we're working more. Like, what? It makes no sense.
That is
Does
actually true. I actually didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah, and you're still saying it to us. Boys, don't. We're going to sail in the Bahamas one day.
Yeah.
No,
No, we're not.
No, we're not. It's not going to happen, man. It's not.
Yeah.
Well, working is cool.
Look at Elon Musk, man. All these billionaires, they still work like 30 hours in a day. And these guys are billionaires.
You know why? Because once you've conditioned your body to like work like literally a donkey, good luck stopping. You're addicted to it. What did I just tell you about addiction? I'm addicted to this now.
It is.
Dopamine. You
You
gotta
need the
please
kick.
that.
You need the kick.
It's an addiction, man. That's why, like, literally at night when I'm about to sleep, I say, come on, just sleep so I can get to the morning and quickly go to work. Like, literally, I get up for Fajr, get up for prayer, straight away for prayer, bang, read my Quran, off I go to work. Every morning, same routine. Boom, I'm at work at 6 o'clock, all right? I just can't wait. Let's get started. Let's rock and roll, all right? And you see me every day with a lot of energy. Let's just rock. Let's get things done. You know what I mean? Let's not waste today. Let's get a lot of things done today. And every day I try to fill it up with a lot of stuff. And you're right, there's not enough hours. Unfortunately, we have to go home eventually. And when you go home, then I can't wait to go back in the morning. It's psychotic, yes. Even on weekends, I go to work. I'm in the office on the weekends, but man, what do you do, man? I'd rather do that than get up to mischief when I've got too much time on my hands. So, you know, it's okay. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
In last words before we wrap up?
It's been a great journey so far. It's been fun. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I think anyone that knows us, they know that, you know what, we're a bundle of joy and happiness, and even though we look serious sometimes, we're actually very happy where we are and where we're going. And it's been hard work, a lot of hard work, there's no doubting that. But if you condition your body to hard work, it becomes normal. You don't actually feel like you're doing hard work anymore. So for those budding entrepreneurs out there, all right, listening to this podcast, don't worry, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Even if you're working 15 hours a day, after a while, not the initial stages, it's really hard, and it's draining, it actually feels like 15 hours a day. After a while, it actually becomes very enjoyable. You just got to get through that hardship. That's all it is. So, great ride.
Thanks for your time, guys. I think
Always.
we all want to go home. It's
So we can
So
come
go
back
to
in the
bed
morning.
and go back
past
here.
6:30. I'm hungry. I'm starving. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, boss man. See you tomorrow, Muzza.
Alright,
On that
see you
note,
too.
thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys in the next one.